Most oil spills happen during routine operations such as bunkering and on oil tankers, cargo transfers. The majority of these spills are due to human error and could be avoided. Prevention of oil spills involves everyone on board playing their part by working safely, sticking to proper procedures, and being on the lookout for any problems. This video is going to look at practical measures to reduce the likelihood and impact of spills. We'll start with oil transfer operations. It makes no difference whether the ship you are on is a tanker or another type of vessel, or whether the operation you're undertaking is bunkering or a cargo operation. In all situations, the issues are the same, and the consequences of a mistake are just as serious. You must approach any such operation with proper care and attention to your role in it. Before any oil transfer operation begins, there are a number of things that must be done. The piping system must be correctly lined up, and all valves and connections that won't be needed must be closed. If there are any sea or overboard valves connected to the system, they must be closed and lashed. All scuppers should be plugged, including scuppers in drip trays. The counter-pollution equipment must be checked and then put on deck and made ready. If there is a spill, fast action will be essential and the gear must be ready. Everyone must take great care during all connection procedures. That includes making sure that you use blanks correctly and thorough bolting up using all the bolts. Drip trays must always be in place. But it's not just about keeping to the right procedure. You need the right attitude. Everything needs to be done properly and then checked. Use the checklists available to you. Make the time and effort to do it right. During the transfer, you must continually look for leaks. These often start from small drips, so look carefully at all flanges and hose connections. Make sure you are aware of the chain of command so that you know who to tell if there is a problem.
Just about to start pumping now. Thank you.
Check that radio communications are fully operational all the time. Always give the ship's name at the start of a conversation, just to make sure there is no confusion with other vessels nearby.
Maximum pressure is only until 3 bars.
Even if everything is done correctly and everyone is vigilant, there may still be occasional leaks. In that situation, if everyone reacts quickly, any spillage will be kept to a minimum. Most of the time, of course, nothing unexpected will happen. Boredom can be a problem if you're on duty at the manifold. Try thinking about different disaster scenarios and what you would do if they occurred. It is really important that you stay alert. As we've noted, a spill of any size, whether during bunkering or cargo operations, or in other circumstances, can have massive consequences for you, your workmates, the ship, and its owners and managers. That is why it is vital that you take a full part in all the ship's drills. As well as this, you must get to know how to use the pollution response equipment on board your ship. The plastic or other non-sparking shovels and scoops are easy to use. The use of sorbent materials is not so obvious. They work on two principles. First, absorbents, which soak up oil like a sponge, and secondly, adsorbents, where oil sticks to the outside surface of the product. Sorbents can be either natural or synthetic. Natural products are usually cheap, non-toxic and biodegradable, but they may soak up water as well as oil and can be difficult to control. Synthetic sorbents absorb a lot of oil and don't absorb water. Some types are reusable. but they can be expensive and can result in large quantities of material that needs to be stored and disposed of properly. Find out what sorbents are available on your ship. Make sure you know their advantages and disadvantages. Here, in this training exercise, sorbent is being used to form a dam or berm to stop the flow of oil. This strategy is often used to contain or redirect a spill to where it can be dealt with. Precise techniques will depend on what sorbents are available on your ship and the type of oil product spilled. Wind and weather may also be a factor in determining the best way to use sorbents. Whatever sorbent is used, the ship must be able to deal with any oily debris which results. This needs to be collected and stored until it can be put ashore. You need a good level of knowledge about all the equipment on board your ship. It's vital when it comes to preventing oil spills. For instance, many ships carry portable non-sparking pumps that can be used for recovering large quantities of oil and other products. There are several different types. These air-driven portable pumps should be set up during drills as they would be during cargo operations. Turning them on is easy once the connections have been made. Water, or better, fluoroprotein foam can be used to simulate oil so that everyone can see how the pumps would work. If the pump is to be used for oil, it will need to be connected to the slop tank. There are several possible arrangements for this. All these pumps will do the job they are designed for. You need to be sure that you know how to work the portable pumps on your own ship. One thing that's always missing from drills is the physical hazard of contact with oil and oil products. Making sure that you use the right protective clothing is usually enough to avoid most health hazards. But it is essential that you know about any specific hazards to health from the cargo on board your ship. For instance, as part of a cargo transfer, arrangements should also be made for vapor control. There's more information about this in the workbook. Check the material safety data sheets before any cargo transfer. There is also useful information about operating equipment for combating oil pollution available in an IMO document. Again, see the workbook for more information. Remember, it is better to ask questions before you start, but it is never too late to be careful. There are 3 ways that you can be affected, and these are inhalation, skin contact, and ingestion by mouth. Cleaning up spills may involve breathing apparatus and chemical suits. The greatest risk is inhalation of airborne contaminants. If the oil or product contains aromatic hydrocarbons such as benzene or is a sour crude containing hydrogen sulfide, be very careful. Skin contact with benzene can cause cancer, and inhalation of hydrogen sulfide can be fatal. Always check the atmosphere for any trace of these and any other hazardous compounds using the appropriate equipment. Never rely on your sense of smell, as it can become rapidly desensitized, particularly to hydrogen sulfide. In the clean-up of bunkers and many crude oils where inhalation does not pose so great a risk, skin contact is the biggest threat. It can be greatly reduced by oil-resistant gloves, and it is advisable to wear them. If any area of your skin does come into contact with any oil product, wash it off immediately. Small amounts of oil on the skin, washed off promptly, will normally cause no long-term risk to health. You can avoid ingestion by mouth by taking care during the actual clean-up procedures, and good hand washing and showering afterwards. The most common accidents to personnel during spill cleanups are usually the simple ones: slips, trips and falls. So make sure that you take sufficient care during any cleanup. Always use the right footwear. Take it slowly. Do it safely. If there is a spill, then every effort must be made to contain the oil on the ship. If this is impossible, everything must be done to reduce the amount of oil discharged. Once there is oil in the water, then those on board ship should assess the quantity and track and monitor the spill.
Duty officer, we have an oil spill in our starboard quarter.
Crude oil is a mixture of many different substances, and what happens to it once it's in the water will depend upon a number of factors. The type of crude, the size of the spill, the sea state, wind speed, temperature, the overall weather, the presence of ice, the distance from land, and so on. That's why accurate information about all these factors is vital for the ship's crew, the company, and outside agencies, including any shore-based clean-up organisations. It is also an IMO requirement. There's more information about this in the workbook.
Chief, you reported to me some oil you can see floating in water.
When observing and reporting a spill, people have a natural tendency in these types of situations to underestimate the size of it. Do your best not to do this.
The spot about 5 square meters.
That is because if the size of the spill is underestimated, then the response to the spill may not be appropriate. And that could lead to a bigger environmental impact, increased costs, and more trouble for everyone.
Okay, all containment.
It is always better to slightly overestimate than to underestimate. All efforts to track the spill will help provide the team on the cleanup operation with the information they need, and in that way help to reduce the impact of the spill. Most oil spills are small. But any size of incident can have devastating consequences, including very high costs of cleaning up any spill. Most spills occur during bunkering and on tankers' routine cargo operations as well. The majority of these spills are due to human error. Treat bunkering like a cargo operation. Prevention of oil spills involves everyone working safely, sticking to proper procedures, and being on the lookout for any problems. You need the right attitude. Everything needs to be done properly and then checked. Use the checklists available to you. Make the time and effort to do it right. During the transfer, you must continually look for leaks. These often start from small drips, so look carefully at all flanges and hose connections. Drip trays must always be in place. Make sure you are aware of the chain of command so that you know who to tell if there is a problem. Check that radio communications are fully operational all the time. Get to know how to use the pollution response equipment on your ship. Find out what sorbents are available on your ship. Make sure you know their advantages and disadvantages. There can be physical hazards to contact with oil and oil products. Make sure you use the right personal protective equipment or PPE. It is essential that you know about any specific hazards to health from the cargo on board your ship. Always check the atmosphere for any trace of hazardous compounds using the appropriate equipment. Never rely on your sense of smell, as it can become rapidly desensitized. By keeping to correct procedures, good training and staying vigilant, you will be able to reduce the amount of pollution reaching the oceans and their shores. The seas are an important resource for all of us. We need to take care of them. Attention to detail and effective training in response procedures, as discussed in this video, will go a long way to protecting the marine environment.